I guess it's time for me to burn myself to a fucking cinder again. Hello YouTube, I'm Darkest101 and welcome back to what I like to call my test of endurance, aka our third year of Double Dip December. All the way up to Christmas, we will be having 2 reviews per week. That is if I don't fucking kill myself by that time. So for the first week, we're going to be having ourselves a look at Darksiders. Darksiders. This game has done nothing but sit on my shelf ever since I bought it a couple of years ago. And there's a bit of a story to that. See, me and Steam were chatting about game ideas a couple of years ago, and I came up with an idea that Steam claimed was similar to Darksiders 2. To which I said, you show me this game and we'll see about that. And since we were in town anyway, we went to the old game shop where I bought up Darksiders, Darksiders 2, and Deus Ex Human Revolution. Anyway, the fuck was I talking about? Oh yeah, Darksiders. We ended up playing the first level of Darksiders 2, but then we got bored and played the Tomb Raider Anniversary on PS3. And Darksiders 2 and Darksiders 1, as a matter of fact, has just sat on my shelf for God knows how long. So, might as well revisit it and have a look at the very first Darksiders for Double Dip December. First of all, I have to mention that we're talking about the original PS3 version of Darksiders and not the recently released War Mastered Edition. Next, can we talk about how the opening menu steals all the God of War? It steals all of the God of War. You think I'm making it up? Comparison time. I mean, I don't know, is it just me? It kind of feels like it steals all the God of War. This didn't exactly set my hopes high when starting this game. However, I have to say, the rest of the game's music made me forget that notion, and the art style is very different to God of War. Some of you might say that that's not a fair comparison because God of War was set 5 years before this game, but then you remember God of War 3 came out the same year this game did, so comparison is fair, my show, my rules, ha ha ha. The art style is pretty snazzy though, gotta give it that. It's kind of like Resistance, Prototype and World of Warcraft got thrown into a fucking blender. Now, from this first cutscene and what I remember about playing Darksiders 2, I was expecting kind of cutesy, oh yeah, we want to be really violent, we want to be a World of Warcraft clone, but oh boy was I wrong. Despite the cutesy World of Warcrafty look, this game goes hardcore real fucking fast. You play as one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, war, and the aftermath of the apocalypse, the result of a mistake war made. As you return to Earth after an apocalypse, you fight the agents of heaven and hell, seeking to eliminate an entity called the Destroyer, and simultaneously prove your innocence. And this game, it gets gruesome and I fucking love it! There are some pretty hardcore kills in this game, resulting in a gameplay style that's a cross between an RPG and a hack and slasher. The combat is also pretty swish. One button lock onto any enemy, hit square, dodge, and beat the living shit out of them with your sword. One thing I will say about this, however, is the lack of a sprint mechanic makes exploring the game's open areas really tedious, as well as the pathetically weak jump you're given. It's a bad sign when traversing from the ceiling is more appealing to the player than running on the sodden ground, especially when in combat. War feels really floaty, like he doesn't have a real sense of weight to him, and neither do his strikes. I never felt like I was doing any damage to my enemies when I was attacking them. I knew I was, but it didn't feel that way, that's for dang sure. And speaking of war, he's a horseman of the apocalypse and he's voiced by Liam O'Brien. That's all I fucking know. Honestly, this isn't a game we're invested in our main character, just how much damage they can do. Even though after the tutorial we're slapped with a shade who acts as an Na'vi for the game, and who...
Let's lay down a few ground rules. Until this is over, you're a dog on a leash. I say bark, you bark. And if I have to kick you, you'd better not bare your teeth.
Holy fuck, nobody told me Mark Hamill was in this game. Nobody told me Mark bloody Hamill was gonna be the little voice that follows me throughout the game. Seriously. Why does no one tell me these things? I mean, come on. It's Mark Hamill. Best game ever. Cheers. What, you think I'm going to go on reviewing this game? Mark Hamill. Argument invalid. Move on. Show over. Roll credits. We begin with a backstory about heaven and hell, and how they tend to kick the shit out of each other. Before the birth of man happened, and the horsemen were basically like, yo, you guys need to back the fuck up for a while. This truce remains in effect all the way up until the 21st century, when soldiers from heaven and hell crash land on Earth and start kicking 7 shades of fuck out of each other. The battle is interrupted, however, as the Horseman War lands in the middle of the fight and starts cracking skulls against one another. Things seem to be going well until the angel Abaddon is killed in battle, and War gets clobbered by a demon-serving destroyer named Straga. When he comes to a century and starts to kick the fuck out of him, the Charred Council are there, who claim he's done fucked up. While the council scene is played out in relative seriousness, I can't help but feel it's a bunch of my friends telling me what I did last night when I was drunk. Well, not last night, I mean like Friday night, but I picked a fight with a door frame. I'm not going further into that, I just picked a fight with a door frame, fuck you. He's then given a watcher, voiced by Mark Hamill, to keep an eye on him, as he's sent off to prove his innocence. The first step in this is to make a deal with the demon Volgrim. Volgrim is both the merchant of this game and later guardian of the game's fast travel system. One thing I will say about Volgrim is that he's a pretty interesting character for a merchant. I mean, I've come across a bunch of different merchants in video games before, but Volgrim is the first that actually feels like he's a character. And then, whenever you want to speak to Volgrim or buy something from him, you can always find where he is with those glowing markings hanging just outside his shop. Plus, you can also earn a few souls from Volgrim by trading special artifacts with him. So you can buy more techniques, health items, special powers, and weapons from him. My personal favourite is when you buy a scythe from him, simply for the mental image of what happens when death knocks on Volgrim's door like...
Where's my scythe, Billy?
And now I've put that thought in your head, you are never going to unthink it. Whenever you want to open a new area in this game, you have to release these stone guardians from the control of demons in the area you've just been fighting in, which basically means you have to kill 4 specific demons in an area to progress. The problem is though, you can't just kill these demons, no, you have to go through these stage areas that have special stipulations to make it more challenging. It's like the game had some challenges in mind but didn't make a specific mode for them. They're not all bad though, and they do help you learn some more advanced combat mechanics in the game. It's just a little tedious running around these large open spaces to find these demons to kill them with War's gentle jog. Please, for the love of God, if you're going to give us these wide open spaces to run across, then give me a fucking sprint button for fuck's sake. So, after visiting Volgrim, War is instructed to speak with the demon Samael, who tells War that in order to get to the Tower of the Destroyer, he will have to kill 4 of the Destroyer's chosen followers: Tiamat, the Griever, the Stygian, and Sylphia. In order to progress therefore, War must kill each of the chosen, rip out their hearts, and feed them to Samael. Along the way, however, War encounters and rescues his horse, Ruin, which makes running across the open areas of the game a lot more bearable. It sucks that they give you this mechanic, but it's only really useful for certain sections of the game. Like, you can go back and you can revisit these open areas and you can ride Ruin, but for the most part, most of the fights from here on in take place in these really narrow corridors and indoors where you can't exactly swing a sword when you're riding a fucking horse. So it feels like the minute you get Ruin, you're literally just dropped in the Tower of the Destroyer where you can't actually ride him, so it's fucking pointless. I'll tell you what you can use though, and that's portals. Yeah, you're right, you heard me. Once you're in a tower, the whole game turns into a bloody portal, as you get this weird gauntlet that allows you to throw 2 different portals, and you have to use them in order to power up a cell containing Azrael, the Angel of Death. I mean, it's a fun mechanic, just dicking around with these portals. It's fucking hilarious, but at the same time, it does highlight a problem with Darksiders, in that you get these power-ups, these abilities, but you only get your mileage out of them in the section they're introduced. Like the whole portal thing, that's really useful in the Destroyer's Tower, but not really anywhere else. the section before, you get a chain shot. That's only useful in that section because there are enemies that can only be fought after you use the chain shot on them. At the beginning of the game, there's this sort of horn that's called the Earth Caller. That's only useful at the beginning sections of the game because there's these giant stone guardians that you have to use the trumpet on to wake them up. So, yeah, it's a problem because they give you these abilities and power-ups, but then it's like, why did you give this to me if it's not going to be that relevant 20 minutes later? I'm now also going to refer to Azrael as the god of hyperdeath, because Undertale must infect everything. God of Hyperdeath reveals that Abaddon was behind the invasion of Earth, and indeed what happened to War, as they are the ones who began the invasion, broke and reforged the 7th seal, and basically were a bunch of cheating dicks. It did not go as they planned, however. After freeing God of Hyperdeath, War goes to kill Straga. You know, the dick who wouldn't stop throwing cars at you with the prologue. Yeah, you murder him with portals. Why do I get the feeling that's the sort of thing Cave Johnson would endorse? Science. Now you're committing genocide with portals. God of Hyperdeath then takes War to Eden, where War learns from the Tree of Knowledge of how to beat the Destroyer, and that the Destroyer is Abaddon, who is manipulated by a force higher than him. He's also shown that the Charred Council are a bunch of copper-bottomed assholes and sent War to kill the Destroyer because they knew they'd kill him afterwards, because they were like, oh, we can kill him afterwards, you know, he's just doing justice. And they also see that Mark Hamill is going to betray War at some point. He's voiced by the goddamn Joker, okay? I mean, did you honestly expect he was going to remain loyal to you all the way through? With the help of his visions, War has to traverse the entire fucking map and grabs the shards of the Blade of Armageddon. With God of Hyperdeath's help, War is taken to fight the Destroyer, who looks a lot like Malefor from Dawn of the Dragon. Oh what, like I'm the only person who's played Legend of Spyro, fuck you. War beats the snot out of Abaddon in a fight that doesn't really feel a lot harder than any of the regular bosses, and kills him. War then breaks the 7th and final seal, as Mark Hamill tries to off him according to the will of the Charred Council. After breaking the seal, War then breaks Mark's face, and looks into the distance as his fellow horsemen ride to his call. And that is Darksiders. What do I think of Darksiders? Well, I mean, the shop, fast travel and upgrade system are pretty good, although in the end, the scythe and the gauntlet aren't really worth buying because at the end of the game, only one weapon can be used to fight Abaddon, and that's your sword. I mean, they're useful in breaking up the swordplay in combat and helpful against other enemies, but why couldn't I use them against the final boss? Same for Ruin actually. Ruin's a great addition to the game, but there's only a handful of places where you can use him. The rest of the time, you're in a narrow interior setting, navigating platform puzzles. There are only 2 bosses where you can even use your Fateful Seed. What kind of bullshit is that? Then there's all the other tools and the abilities you get along the way that are only useful for areas you find them in, and rarely useful after that. Except maybe for the gun, which is universal. The story is so-so, but the voice acting is fantastic. I cannot deny that. All in all, I can definitely say, yeah, I like this game. It's not perfect by any means, but, you know, the combat's kind of fun, puzzles are really inventive, and the world is beautifully visualized. Good god, this place is just sort of amazing. It really does feel alive. I mean, the boss battles are kind of so-so, but there's only 6 of them, so really not that much of a problem there. I think Darksiders gets a worthy dart rating of 71.
Even you wouldn't laugh at your own funeral.
And that was our first review of Double Dip December. I wouldn't stray away from the channel for too long, however, because later on we'll be having our review of the sequel, Darksiders 2. So, if you have a suggestion for a future review, please leave it in the comment section below. And as always, I've been Darkest101. You have been watching Double Dip December on Darkest101 Reviews. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later, YouTube.